Marvin, guess what? Ahoy! I sail! I'm a sailor! I sail! Isn't this a breakthrough? I mean, that I'm a sailor? I sail? I sail now?
Keep sailing, Bob.
Out on a boat on the lake, way far away from the dock, the wind of the wind is with the sky and everything.
Hey, oh, flying solo. Don't have Jeff Worley with me. He is doing his own thing. What's up, everybody? Welcome to In Production. It's just me today. Jeff is under the weather from our insane trip to the Virgin Islands. Jeff caught a little something. Got a text message here. Sorry, I'm waiting for clients. So we just got back, well, not just, but we got back Friday night at midnight. And so we've been kind of recovering. And so today on the show, we're going to talk about a few things. We might even stream again tomorrow just because I think Jeff is going to add a lot of value to the conversation. And as I said, he's under the weather. We weren't sure what it was. And since I have little kids, if one of us gets sick, if Jeff gets sick, he just doesn't come in. So today on the show, we're going to talk about using the GH5 for a feature film, because that's kind of what we got hired to do, and I cannot talk about the feature film. I won't talk about the feature film. I'm under an NDA. They were nice enough to let me just say that's kind of some stuff we did, and it was a partnership type relationship. So we'll talk about some of that. We're going to also show you guys some footage, and what we're going to show is a mix of GH5, drone, all kinds of good stuff. There's no red involved in this, and I'll go over the process. I am getting blowed up right now by my dear friend Sabrina. Let me just put my phone here on silent so that we don't have a constant boop sound. There we go. Sabrina, if you're watching, I'll get back to you. So we've got some drone footage, some GH5, GH5s, and I'll talk about why we took those cameras on this insane adventure and how we kind of did it. Jeff is in the chat ski. So I'm going to jump into the chat ski since I'm flying solo, and we don't have to post the comments anymore because they show up somewhere in the YouTube stream. Even if you're not watching this live, they're still there for you, which is Awesome Sauce 3000. So Jeff is sick. He says he'll be here tomorrow. Andrew Gebby, Scotland, checking in. Well, that's fantastic. I think you might be our first Scots person to check in with us. Maybe not. Maybe there's been others. But Andrew, glad to have you here, man. Good to see you. Steven, I'm happy you're excited for this live stream because I feel like us missing a live stream built the hype up. We really wanted to try and broadcast from down there, but it just was not going to happen. If you saw the other video where we recorded off my laptop, it was just... it was nuts. And we didn't want to walk around and parade with a bunch of cameras in a space where we're literally living on a boat where someone could have broken in and taken our stuff. It's safe down there. It's super safe, but it's still, you just don't want to flaunt things, right? That's just not who we are. Jeff, hopefully you get better, buddy. I don't know what's going on. He's in the chat ski. Soto Cine is here. Hello, Soto. Thanks for hanging out. Tijuana, look at this. We are world-class, folks, representing. We're all over the world now because that's how the craft show community works.
No.
False. But it's great to have everybody in here. Another Scott.
No!
Glad to have you in the mix. This is amazing. I absolutely love it. Is it okay for me to call you fellow Scotsmen Scots? Because I know sometimes, like, I have a friend who's a Kiwi, and, they're okay with Kiwi, but, I don't ever be insensitive. I don't know. I mean, can I say Brit? Can I call someone a Brit if they're British? And what do we call Americans? What do you guys call us, aside from a-holes? What do you call an American? Trump dumpsters? I'm going to get a Trump dumpster. I don't know what that means, but whatever it is. So we're going to look at some of this footage. We're going to talk about that. So let's kind of jump back and set things up for perspective. So Jeff and I got called to a very kind of last minute to pack up our gear, get on a plane, and then fly down to the U.S. Virgin Islands where we had to film some footage. And it was a variety of things like establishing shots and some context and texture shots and other stuff for a project, for a feature. And so, we had to communicate to the editor and see what they needed. Their project, I wish I could go into more detail, but their project was a little more little more high profile than us, and they shot on a very specific format. And so one of the goals that we had to deal with was making sure that we could supply them with footage that would fit into the film, fit into the narrative. We're not going to be able to match the lenses they used. Jeff and I would have probably passed out from trying to hold those heavyweight lenses on a boat while it's moving. I'm on a boat. That joke never gets old when you're on a boat. It gets completely old when you're not on one, by the way. So a couple of things that we had to do. First off, one of the things that we were excited about, we did not want to take a red. I don't have one in here. Let me, hold on one sec. Just dead air for 1 second. So we'll just kind of set perspective, right? So Red Epic, right? You guys have seen it. I feel like here's Johnny fitting his face in. All right, so Red Epic, right? So here's our Red Epic. It already weighs a ton. I don't know how I'm going to get this. I mean, I know how I can pack it. I've done it before, but I don't totally know how we would get this bad boy traveled safely down there. We only have one Red Epic. We have a Scarlet we could have backed it up with. But taking two of these and putting them on a boat is a little sketchy considering the cost of a... Let's not do that. Considering the cost of a Red Epic. So in this case... Am I in focus? I'm right on the edge, aren't I? Am I more in focus back here? I don't have anyone to spot me. And it's kind of hard to see on the... Am I in focus? Can somebody... Anybody? Is this better focus right here? I can't. Anyway, so we didn't want to take the Red Epic with us because it would have been a little bit of a hassle. So what we ended up taking was two Pelican cases, if you've seen that video. We had two 1510s because the Pelican 1510 will fit on almost any airplane. And if you do need to check it, we'll go over how we kind of did that process because this is all important. It leads into the feature side. But we needed to be able to shoot true 24 frames a second, not 23.976. They wanted true 24, and that should give you a hint at maybe what they were shooting on that we had to match to without me saying it. So we had to shoot true 24. So we opted, instead of taking two Reds and a Scarlet and all the batteries that were going to go along with it, plus the footprint, and we didn't want to be like super flaunting these cameras around. We didn't know what the conditions were going to be like. We decided to go with the GH5 and the GH5s. GH5s because we knew we had some night scenes we had to film. GH5 because we wanted the internal stabilization because we're on a boat.
No!
That was rocking like crazy. So that's what we kind of packed together. Now, we have those two 1510s. We had my trusty rucksack, which is made by, I forgot their name already. But anyway, it's a expensive, great, wonderful backpack. And then we had our Pelican camera backpack. And you guys have heard us talk about it. And I cannot praise that. You look like a Ghostbuster when you carry it. I'll tell you that much. You look like you should be you should be hunting ghosts with it or busting ghosts because busting makes you feel good, by the way. But it does look like a Ghostbuster backpack. But what it afforded us to do is put both cameras in a carry-on that would fit under the seat. So we had both cameras completely stripped down, the lenses in the top. It was packed full of gear. It was epic. So leaving... We left it like a 3 a.m. flight, or we got up at 3 a.m. for a 6 a.m. flight, flew into Miami and got down. And, you know, leaving the country, or even though the U.S. Virgin Islands are still, you know, technically U.S. territory, you do have to hit customs on the way back. But going down there, not a big deal, right? So we fly down. It was easy to get through because those 1510s fit perfectly. The only thing you have to consider is you have to take your batteries out. And inside of those 1510s, we had a 4-bank of Anton Bowers. So we had 4 batteries and a 4-bank charger inside, and then we had our glass around it. We did take one casualty, but we had not our glass, but our filters around it. And so having that, we had to pull those batteries off because those had to get checked on the smaller plane leaving Pensacola to Miami. And so because of that, we had we had to take those batteries and put them in my backpack. Not a big deal. All the other lithium batteries were packed into backpacks, essentially, because those have to stay on the plane, anything going underneath. So again, not a problem. When we checked in, they very easily went through one pack. I believe it was mine, of course. They went through my pack. And then I had a pocket knife and not a pocket knife, a Leatherman. By the way, Leatherman's not allowed on airplanes. I guess that little bitty knife could do some damage. So that got 86'd. So anyway, so we got down, immediately landed, started shooting because of weather conditions. And you know, there's one big takeaway that Jeff and I learned, or at least I learned from this. So we didn't have, we had the Shogun with us. We didn't mount it. We just started shooting because we had to. We had to get out in the water and get going. So we built the camera as fast as we could, had our shoulder rig set up with the battery pack on the back. You'll see a video in this clip I'll show you here in a second of Jeff using, or maybe you guys have seen it, Jeff uses the top handle. We posted that somewhere. Jeff uses the top handle to balance the camera off his head, the GH5s, to help stabilize. And so we hit out in the water. So that's the kind of setup. So we had to be very mobile, right? We had to shoot true 24. They didn't care about sound, so it didn't matter. We had to be able to get stabilized images as best we could. We didn't want a bunch of crazy rocky stuff. We didn't want to see a bunch of rolling shutter element. And so again, using the GH5 was, for us, the only option we felt very comfortable with because we know how they perform at 24, true 24 frames a second. We've tested it against a red and it looks good. We've not tested it against this medium, but I have a feeling it'll look fantastic. We brought the S because it would allow us to bought the S for low light because we knew we had some nighttime scenes we wanted to get, and we'll have some footage of that in some video that will roll out later, not in this episode, but upcoming. And we also needed to have the GH5 so that we could have some stabilization because we didn't know how rocky it was going to be. Last we saw on a weather report was that there was going to be swells coming in pretty crazily. So that's kind of the setup for it. Now I'm going to jump to the comments, see what's going on down there. I see a lot of things moving, and I just wanted to at least acknowledge that. Here we go. So we got Tijuana. Oh, I already said that one. American viewing from Palma, Spain. Oh, dude, I bet. Can you bring me back some ham? I need some Spanish ham. I need some. Chris from Zambia. Chris, welcome. You might get the furthest out there award. That's fantastic. But I wouldn't call Scots Brits. I know the difference there. It's like calling a Kiwi an Aussie. That's like near death. You're asking to get killed by both. Either one, either side. That's what I was told. Was there any damage from the hurricanes? Yeah, did we go? All right, so, you know, it's really sad. Puerto Rico took a lot of hits, but the U.S. Virgin Islands got beat up pretty bad. And it's you'll see in some of this footage. I'll show you. You'll kind of see a lot of blue tarps. Look for blue tarps. That's what you want to see. And like, that's sad. What? Lots of blue tarps. Yeah, there was. Central Puerto Rico got bad, but the blue tarps are still there, and mostly on the lower income, what appeared to be like maybe more lower income areas. So some of the resorts aren't even open. So it's spring break right here in the States, which is, you know, I don't know if you have spring break overseas, but for us, it's like where college kids just get shit-faced and pregnant.
No.
It's all fact. And so it was empty. It was void. There was a few families down there, but it wasn't bad at all. Like no problems going to restaurants and all that kind of stuff. It was kind of wild. So, all right. So a couple of questions coming through. Was there any? Got that one. What format did you film to match the feature? We shot all eye on both cameras. So we're shooting all eye, and we shot true 24 to match the feature. So all eye and true 24. So the highest resolution we can get out of the camera currently to match the feature. Because that is the specs that we went back and forth on that we felt like would give them the best representation and the best quality, especially because of how beautiful the water was and the location. We wanted to make sure we had maximum amounts of color, and we shot log, obviously. That's all we ever shoot anymore. What external lighting? So that hive light that I love so much, we broke it down, and it's like this big. Just the bulb or just the unit itself is like about this big, about the size of a football. We're able to fit that perfectly into our AKS and our 1510, and we just packed everything else around it and got all of it. So we had a hive, and then we brought a Cardellini, which is a little clamp. I might dig this stuff out while you guys are watching the video. We brought a Cardellini, 2 gobo heads, and a baby pin, and then we brought what we call a grenade, but we brought a little light panels, 1x2, I think is, or whatever it is. It's tiny light. It's little small light panels. So we brought one of those little light panels that we run off of this, one of our premium power packs. We brought both of these, as a matter of fact, and these have paid for themselves so many times over in multiple ways. It's not a shameless plug, but it is. So first off, there's not a lot of power, so we're able to power our cell phones. We're able to charge batteries. We're able to do a whole lot of things like GH5 batteries with a USB charger. We can do a whole lot of stuff, but also it ran the Shogun. It ran lights when we need them to, not the hive light, but it did run the grenades. I have sleep apnea. It even powered my sleep apnea machine. That is stupid. The fact that it has all these USB ports, meant that we could multi-power. Let's see, someone there. We could multi-power stuff that way as well, and we would charge them up when we had power, and then whenever we needed it, we quite literally had power when we wanted it, and that was crucial. These are epically amazing considering the ampage. 600 amps and 1,000 amps, it's a lot of watt hours. And they're flyable, so these lived on the plane with us, obviously. They're lithium batteries. So there you go on the lighting side. How did the 5 and 5S match up? You're about to see. You see if you can figure out which is which. I'll show you in just 1 second. My sister grew up in the VI and her home was destroyed. Melvin, I'm so sorry, man. We loved it down there. It was beautiful, and the people just delightfully nice. You know, I have commentary, but the people have been so friendly. Were so nice to us, and in fact, we met a driver and got to be friends with him. So we just used the same driver because he was just a delightful guy. We went and had some like authentic Carib food. It was sick. Had a great time. And Trev thought we were still lost at sea. Well, we almost lost it at sea. There was a couple of times. You'll see some harrowing stuff. So let's show you the video. So this footage is an amalgamation of my cell phone, GoPros, GH5s, GH5, Phantom 4 drone. I think that's it. There might be something else thrown in there. It's all mixed together. And what this is the footage I can show you. It's B-roll scraps. This is just the scraps. Literally, this is cutting room floor. Like, you'll see some of the drone footage and you'll have like this going on up top where, you know, it was him positioning and it wasn't for a primary shot, so I'm okay to use that. Or there might have been some junk in the water that wasn't very attractive. But let me show you this footage because it's really, it's pretty amazing. And mixing the cameras together, Jeff did do a grade on this, a proper grade, but mixing the cameras together, you know, aside from like the GoPro, it's pretty sick. So let's cue it up. And nope, that's sailing. So here's the video, and then I will answer some more questions when we come right back. Here's the video. There you go. Uh-oh. Feedback. Sloth. Love. Chunk. Okay, sorry. Anyway, that's some of that footage. It's a mix, so I don't know if you can identify what is what inside of it. I think it's probably fairly difficult to do. but it is a nice mix of footage. There's, you know, obviously GoPro you can pick out, but there's some VFR in there. There is some, which was I don't even remember, to be honest with you, which camera was which. So it's a nice, yeah, that's just scrap B-roll, Melvin. That's the stuff that we're not, that's the stuff that we're not using, because it had like, you know, there's one where I was adjusting the f-stop and stuff, or there was prop wash or whatever. So that was just kind of scrap stuff. Those are shots that that won't make it into the movie. My point in saying that is, like, you know, even scraps, you never know what you can use. Like, when we deliver to an editor, we try and give them everything we can anyway. So like in this case, we gave them everything. Now, don't get me wrong. There's some absolute, just for you guys, inside craft show moments that only you would appreciate, editor wouldn't care about. We got some of that. Like, one of them is how the captain launches the drone. So you're on a moving boat that's keeled over, right? You're like this, right? And that captain, he's a heck of a drone pilot. And shout out to Ryan. But Ryan would launch that drone off the back of a moving boat. And it was the craziest, damnedest thing I've ever seen. He would hold it up the drone, right? So he would hold it up with one hand, and then he has giant monkey paws, but with his other hand, he would launch to get the propellers going, and he'd just lift it up, hold it up, right, as it's floating, and he would let go, and we would sail away from the drone, right? So we sail away, and then he would start flying around. And then a few times we lost signal. There's nowhere to land. So then to land it, you have to bring the drone back into a moving vessel and land it where there's sails and all kinds of, like, it was insane. And we saw him do it twice. Once off of a parasail boat, which has no back, and it was 20-foot swells. So we were just getting tossed around. I'll show you guys. We have footage of all that. Don't worry, that's coming in a video. In fact, maybe we'll even make a tutorial video on how to launch a drone from a moving boat. It was absolute chaos. Keeled over, just kicking through it. It was sick. Or tacked over and just zipping through. Absolutely amazing, kind of a life-changing experience in that space. Servant house. Yes, I had to launch the same way. I was in Brazil filming on a riverboat on the Rio. Yeah. So, like, it's scarier. He was like, "Do you want to fly?" I was like, "No, man, you've done it." This guy has some footage of a pod of dolphins that showed up in front of him, and I swear to you, it's like Planet Earth quality. I mean, the quality is the quality, but it's Planet Earth looking footage. It's a pod of, like, Jeff, isn't it like 30 or 40 dolphins, something like that? So you have 30 or 40, a pod of dolphins just bouncing off the front of his boat. It is ridiculous. The footage is absolutely, and it's because he was in the middle of the Gulf of Mexico, right? And it was just one of those things of, like, he saw it and he just jumped on it and did it. Really, really, really talented pilot. Very clever guy. And you saw in one of those clips when we were kind of doing that circle, that orbit around the boat, he was so close to the water, a wave was splashing, like it got wet, essentially. Luckily, it didn't pull it down. Yeah, it could have been more. We don't even know. We just watched the footage. We have that. I'm going to see if he'll let us show some of that. We're talking about playing with some of that stuff and doing an HDR grade because the footage we got was great. So we shot vlog the entire time. Was there a backup drone? Was there a backup GH5s? If something went wrong, that was it. And that's the other reason, is because Jeff was multiple times, both of us were hanging cameras over the side of the boat. I feel pretty confident in my strength, but I don't feel confident hanging an $80,000 camera over the side of a boat, right? I just don't feel confident in that. Whereas a $2,500 camera that I know gives me good results, I got no issues doing that. I'll risk it just to get the shot. And we got some crazy stuff, like hanging off the front of the boat, had to put some tracking markers in, and it was all kinds of VFX plates we were shooting as well. Everybody's happy. The footage looks great. It's flat as all get out. It's perfect. We got details in the clouds. We got everything we wanted to do, and it gives a great platform to work off of. But one of the things I was going to tell you about shooting log that we kind of learned. Now, granted, that's all we shoot. I don't shoot any other format anymore. I've given up, right? It's not just because I have Jeff. It's just, I just like log, and now my brain is used to it, and I prefer it. Even on the red now, we try and shoot log as much as I can. I've just gotten used to it. And I kind of like thinking that way. But one of the things I was going to share that we took away from it, I never used, nor did Jeff use, the waveform monitor, right? The only way we were exposing is straight off the little histo. And I just wanted to say how accurate that histo can be if you're paying attention. It is not, I am not anti-exposed to the right. The ETTR is junk. I'm not anti that. I think from my experience, every time I've tried it, and I could be doing it wrong, I ended up with images that were a little brighter than I wanted them to be in some cases. If it's dark, yeah, you got to crank it all through, get as much as you can. I will tell you that almost all of the footage you saw that was GH5, GH5s had an ND filter on the front, right? Just a screw-on variable. And so we would tweak that, but we were exposing almost everything to the white on the histo. And I'm straight up being serious. We literally would expose to the white. And now me personally, I like a tick down. So I would just go one, just to the point just off of that histo. So I would just drop it just a pinch. That's including the crazy clouds, a white sail, a white boat, and we still had perfect exposure all the way through it. The detail was there, everything we wanted. That's high dynamic range stuff, and we're able to do it. I also now believe that I will probably shoot more content at True 24. Something about the way it looked, the way it handled in post, the way that it cut, because I cut that piece, the way everything flowed with it, even looking at the output. I don't know why. It could be a complete placebo, right? But I do believe that shooting 24 yielded a better result. I noticed less rolling shutter. There was nothing shot on that boat. There was one shot of slow-mo on that boat that was 180 VFR. But for the most part, both those cameras, only one of those cameras really has stabilization. And we shot a GH5, so I don't want to hear anybody complaining about the stupid argument of, well, I can't do it, it doesn't have stabilization.
For the last time, no.
Because we shot on a boat in 15-foot seas and the shots still turned out fantastic. Are they all perfect? No, but the majority of them were, right? And that is just shooting a small rig. Now, the ones with stabilization, some of that stuff is crazy how flat it is. It looks like it's a drone. That's what it looks like. So there's an advantage to using those two and kind of considering that way. But yeah, I'm kind of sold on 24 only. Like, it limits you a little bit, but not as much as I thought. For us, we're going to YouTube. We're doing commercials. If we need 23976 for something specific, we will. But something about the way 24 handled motion made me feel really good about it. And it could be, again, I'm saying this, it could be a placebo, 100% placebo. Did water get on the drone itself or get hit by splashes? Yes, the drone did get hit by a couple of swells. Just the landing gear got hit by a couple of swells. Luckily, not enough, and there's a little cant, but he was able to pull it up. Everything on the boat got wet because we were hitting those waves pretty hard, and me and Jeff were on deck. So the GH5 got wet, the GH5s got wet. Obviously, the GH5 I'm less concerned with. The GH5, yeah, everything got a little bit of water on it at some point. In fact, there's a shot I can't show because it hopefully makes it into the film. We took the GH5, threw it in a wet bag, which is not in here. Threw it into a dry bag, Threw it into a dry bag and hung it over the side of the boat and dipped it into the water. Just let it drown in the water. And we were pretty sure that bag was good, but we did it. And that stuff was crazy. It was nuts. I mean, if I let go or we hit something or, a wave bad, we were fully submerged type stuff. It was crazy. And again, I would not have done that with a Red. I would have only done that with a GH5. So I'm not saying shoot all your movies on a GH5 or GH5s. I'm simply saying from a feature standpoint, I did things I couldn't do or I wouldn't do or couldn't afford it. First question we asked when the job came along is, can we have a Hydroflex? And we were told no. So we're not going to get a gimbal system. We're not going to get a stabilizer. There's no budget for it. You guys are the budget. So figure it out. You got it. That's what we do. That's what CRFTSHO does best, is figure out problems that people don't even know exist yet sometimes. And that's what we did. And both these cameras, again, today's Micro Four Thirds Day, so let's celebrate it. I'm not overpraising it. You guys know I love this camera, but in this case, this was the only tool that I had that could do exactly what I needed to do as a director of photography, kind of second unit director, whatever I was. And that's it. Does the Red even splash proof? No, man. Red's not even close to splash proof. I wouldn't even get near it. How did he get his compass and IMU calibrated with the boat keeled over? That, sir, is amazement of he literally did it offhand. I'm not kidding. I'm telling you. There's one day, that's the last day when we were on the parasail boat, it was rocking bad enough that I started to fall off the side and grabbed onto basically the floor because there's no railing on the back of a parasail boat. And it was a little hairy. And that one, those shots are a little bit canted. Easily fixed, but a little bit canted. The other stuff, he stabilized it out by hand. I don't know how to tell you. It was insane. I've never seen anything like it. It was absolutely, absolutely amazing. GH5 is weather sealed and reds aren't, so 5s are, yeah, of course. That's what Jamie says, which I'm totally with you, Jamie. Totally right. Trev, zebras at 75 for easy shooting. Sure, I just don't like zebras on my image. It's a personal thing. This is a complete personal thing. I grew up in the era of zebras and video cameras, and so I just don't want to feel like I'm on a video camera. I know it sounds stupid. It is stupid logic. I'm telling you, it's stupid logic. It's dumb for me to say I don't like zebras, but it's true. I like giraffes. Did you use a 180-degree shutter? Of course. That's all I use is a 180-degree shutter. The only time we modified is if we were trying to go for something really dramatic. But again, based on what we knew of the project, there was not a lot of... the glass wasn't changed much. The ground glass was not shifted, and the angle of shutter was fairly consistent, so we kept with that. We followed those rules. I might have the opportunity to shoot on a boat this summer. Just wondering about the slow motion. Do you think 100... Did you see that footage? Did you happen to see any of the footage? Because there's a 180 frame shot in there, Gearbox. I'll show it again here in a second if you want, but there's a 180 frame shot in there. There's lots of slow-mo stuff, but it's 180 frame VFR from 24, so it's true 24, 180 frames per second. Paul Wright asks, what was your process for choosing which shots would be shot on what camera? Well, with the exception of the nighttime stuff, part of what we were meant to do is just get some atmosphere. And so we just kind of spent time getting Atmos shots. The exception was we had a couple of days where there were some creative choices that had to be made, and we decided to shoot on the GH5s for those. I feel like the color in the S is a little bit more manageable in some ways. And that's what we went with to get some of those shots done. Kevin Chung, stable shots on a moving boat would be boring. Oh, yeah. Yeah, if they're too stable, it's garbage. I turned off, let's say I kept the sensor stabilization, I turned off the lens stabilization. I totally agree. Servant House, that is insane. Yeah, it was nuts, dude. I don't like zebras either. Identity crisis on legs. Yeah, there we go. Great way to put it. Great way to put it. Yeah, so I'll show you what we'll show. I'll show this again so you guys can see it. If you pay attention to the VFR shots, so the two VFR shots that are on land of the water crashing up, that's GoPro. It's got a little bloom to it. It's not bad. Everything we shot was in Vlog L. Every piece of footage we shot on the GH5 or GH5s was in Vlog L. Jeff will answer your question, Kevin. I'm going to show this video again just to the gentleman who was asking about the VFR 180 on a boat gearbox. Check this out. there you go. So yeah, the VFR footage you saw in there was on a boat at 180 frames a second. I did some 90 as well. Some of that stuff, because the deliverable on this film is actually 4K. So they're delivering in 4K. So the VFR stuff, I gave them a heads up that I was going to shoot some 1080 VFR. If they wanted to use it, they could scale it. But that stuff was more for you guys. That was more for CRFTSHO. That was more internal based. And it's not totally like for the rest of it. So yeah, that's a lot of the VFR that we did use. We didn't do anything at 60 because, again, didn't match what we needed. And we're really after a good, clean sort of 24 image. And that's how it was. And again, I did not expose with a waveform monitor or use zebras. I'm just telling you the histo at white in daylight. Now you look at it and make sure you're not clipping highlights, but your histo at white, and then I would just pull it down slightly. And Jeff can answer. I don't think, I think Jeff can tell you for sure, but Jeff, I don't think you had to push anything up very much, right? There was not a lot of push up in that stuff. Anyway, it's pretty crazy. Yeah, Gearbox, I think the tutorial is a good idea until it's like a whole onslaught of people crashing drones. You know, it's one of those kind of vibes. So I was going to talk about like the AKS and why we think it's important when you go on these jobs and you consider it. You got to think beyond. You got to think like a filmmaker and like a film pro as much as you can, even on a limited amount of space and budget. And so, you know, we had the items that we brought with us. Like I said, these are lifesavers. We love them. In fact, if you guys want them, I'll post a link. It's about to go. He's about to put them on sale for $119, which is dirt cheap for a big brick battery. That's crazy cheap. And they do a lot of power stuff. So if you need something, I recommend it. This one's a little more expensive, or a lot more expensive, but it's more amperage. This guy did a lot of stuff we needed. I mean, powered our phones. It did everything. It was just incredible. So in the AKS, to kind of show you, I'm going to do my best to kind of show how we put this together here without blocking everything out. Oh, God. All right. You can kind of see it. Maybe I'll tilt it down a bit, but... So inside the AKS, which again is a 1510 Pelican case, there's a GoPro rig. I should probably adjust the focus. There's a GoPro rig. So we had that guy, of course. We shot lots of GoPro stuff. Our Titan arms, also important. But these are the things that I think are kind of interesting to have. This GoPro thing is great, not only because it has dual purpose. So not only does it work as a clamp, so we have, basically we have a grip clip, but it also can clamp the GoPro onto random things, which is what we did for a lot of this. There's GoPro shots like connected all over the place, sails, all kinds of stuff, just getting weird things. Cleaning cloth, you should always have anyway. But like this is what I was saying about having a grip head. So we have a grip head, and somewhere in here is a Cardellini, but we have this grip head so that at least we had something we could mount with the light, because we knew we weren't going to be able to mount it traditional in any way, shape, or form. And I'm going to try and lift this up best I can. It's a mess, right? All right, you guys see it? Yep. So, right here is going to be the light panel that I was talking about. Simple, runs off our premium power, till I broke it, off our premium power pack. But there you go, Hive light right there. So we lit a lot of interior scenes on the boat with this, so we had the Hive light to do that to kind of complement it. It was also, we got really blessed because it was a full moon, so we were able to stack a full moon on top of it. The barn doors and the attachments are inside of this as well. I'm a big nerd for carabiners because they make this sound, and I think this sound is pretty rad. It makes me happy. It's about like a shotgun getting racked, as long as you're the one racking it. This little bitty cheap crap tripod, just because we couldn't carry a full set of sticks. And then basically everything else in here is just a combination of random stuff, except you want to make sure you bring these. So cube taps, super important in case you need them. You never know what's going to happen. But we basically took this AKS kit and did fine. Now on the way back, customs on the other hand was a different story. So getting there was not an issue, but on the way home, hold on. On the way home, not only did we get checked, they took everything out possible. Like we had to unload every single case and go that route. So just be mindful, pack thoughtfully. So the AKS obviously is an AKS. It's just shit thrown into a box aside from our lamp. But the other stuff was a little bit crazy. We had to go through a ton of, we had to pull out every single lens. We had to pull out, all the battery chargers, and we had to go through all of our bags. Like they had to pack it, check everything. So just keep in mind that like when you pack for this kind of trip, you need to bring as much gear as you can, but you need to be conscious of the gear level just because it's not a travel video, right? We were shooting professional plates and professional B-roll and professional level Atmos shots. So you need to make sure you have the right tools. Now we did bring 2 of our CPs with us. So we had 2 CPs that we used some, but a lot of it because we were on the boat, the CPs were a little bit tricky. And we just had to reframe and grab. So we did end up using Sigma, the Sigma Art, and then we used the not Nikon. Boy, I can't even get it right. We used a Panasonic Lumix Leica 12-60 with variable ND, which broke. We also broke a very expensive polarizer, a very expensive circle pole, which I don't even want to look at it because it breaks my heart because it's broken. We don't know how it happened. All right. Super cool. Okay. Didn't push up much of, yeah. So Jeff said we didn't push the stuff up. So my little theory here is use the histogram in daylight with an ND filter and expose for the white. And then me personally, I take it down just past the white. So I close it down or I roll the ND just past the white mark. And for us, we wanted a lot of stuff in focus. That's what was really important for the shot structure we were after. They're into atmosphere. So if we did do an intimate close up, we would close it down there to kind of knock down the depth of field. Otherwise, we want as much as we could because we're in this environment that's beautiful. You don't want to be shooting stuff that takes away from the environment. You need to be maximizing on the environment. Which GoPro? It is Hero. What's the not newest one? Hero 5, Hero 6. Whatever. Either way. It's whatever the not newest GoPro is. Yeah, 3 Hero 5 Blacks on board. That's what it was. Amateur Media Group. Holy smokes, welcome back. Hey guys, long time no see. What would you guys recommend for a wireless comm system for small Motorola radios? That's what I would do. Unless you need Comtels or whatever, the expensive ones, then you can go that route. Oh, wireless. You're talking about wireless mics. I thought you were talking about wireless communications. When you say comms, I think about wireless communication. Wireless mics. Sennheisers are solid. The Sonys are not bad, but I would spend money. Look, you're going to spend money on a camera, spend money on audio that's equivalent. So if you have a $1,000 audio kit or a $2,000 audio kit, and that's what if you're doing a lot of dock work, don't shortchange yourself on the audio. It's stupid. If you have pretty pictures but the sound is garbage, what's the point? It's half of your picture, half of your production comes from your audio. So do it. Do you use foam inserts in your cases? Yes, kind of. That's kind of a yes. In our Peli, it has foam built in. In these, you just wrap it in some Duvetine. It'll be fine. The lens broke. No, we broke a expensive polarizer. It's a circle pole, like a big circle pole for a 4x matte box, for a 4x5.6 matte box. So no lens, a variable ND, 138 mil circle pole. There you go. Two-way radios. Yeah. I would use Motorola's. That's the ones. In fact, let me get a pro tip. In all honesty, the Motorola's, once you have them, you can also rent those out. And I'm serious, those are one of the biggest commodities on a film set. So if you have a set of Motorola's, you might actually get some work from them as well. I mean, they're going to come back beat up and abused, but if you have a good insurance rider that basically, or coverage rider that basically says that if they break them, they buy the next component, and you charge them, if they lose a battery, so they're going to lose a brick, right? They'll probably lose a brick, then you just charge them for a full price of a new brick, and that's just in your contract. And that's normal. That's industry standard. Quite literally, L&D on walkie-talkies is where people make a serious amount of money. I don't remember the model number, Jeff. If you remember the exact model number, they're like $250 a piece, but they work and they're robust and they can get beat up. That's why we like those. Do I insure all of my equipment? Yes, I do. In fact, here's my bill. Let's take a look. Let's talk about it. Here we go. How much did it cost for me to insurance my equipment? Nothing, apparently. Well, that's not good. Apparently we've been canceled. Let's check this one. We're just kidding. It just was a junk mail piece. I'll try and tell you what the number is. For a year, it is right at $3,000. Sorry, it's right at $4,000 for a year. Now, understand that when our insurance doesn't just cover, it's based on, you know, how insurance works, but it's based on the fact that we have the reds and all that stuff. It also covers rentals because we rent so many expensive lenses, we have to elevate it. Like, that's like part of the process for like even Heirloom or some of the commercials we've done with Master Primes. We have to pay a higher premium price on our insurance because of the amount of rental. The company is awesome, however, so if you have any questions about it, shoot me a message or something, and I will gladly forward and introduce you to our insurance broker. His name is Rich Gunn. Fantastic dude. Absolutely smart. Love dealing with him. Made it so hassle-free. It was insane. It was a great process. Matt Banfield, who knows Motorola's because he was a PA. Matty, how you doing? CP200s. There you go. Thanks for sharing the insurance info. That's good for him. Yeah, you know, most people won't. And the truth of it is, I would insure all of my gear. And I insured it before this trip. We've been insured since last year, like when we started. Like, all of our gear has to be insured because the last thing I want to do is worry about it. I just want to be able to go shoot. You know, if something goes wrong, great. Now, that said, with a broken piece of glass, I don't know if I'm going to claim that on my insurance because it's a $500 filter versus, or whatever it is, $500 filter, you know, against my premium or whatever that fee is called. I forget. I don't know if I'm going to claim it. I might just have to eat it and deal with it, but it's the truth. I would highly suggest getting insurance if you guys go anywhere, and ours also covers mild international, basically meaning U.S. Virgin Islands is technically U.S., so we're safe. But if we were going way deductible, thank you. We're going way overseas, it would be a completely different scenario. So, yeah, that's kind of that's it. Now, I know people are probably wanting more information on how to make a GH5 for a feature film, and you know what? There's really not a tip or trick for it. You just got to go out and shoot it. I mean, the biggest thing being is like just go shoot and tell the story and don't worry about what camera. A little rant for a moment is one of the things that I don't mind answering the question because I want to encourage everyone to go out and become a better filmmaker if that's what their heart desires, but just don't get stuck on the camera. I get asked, like, the question we get asked a lot is, hey, I'm about to shoot my first feature. What camera should I buy? None. You shouldn't buy a camera at all. You should rent, borrow, beg, not steal, but you should do anything you can to get a camera that's going to work, and you should focus all of your money on production that's going to benefit or spend it on production that's going to benefit the film. The camera needs to look good, the movie needs to look good, sure, but if you have a crap story,
No!
and you have absolute crap acting,
No!
and you have even worse, absolute crap audio,
No!
then you're not going to do anything. No one's going to care. So spend the money on the items that you actually need to use. And if it's just a phase where you just like, oh, if I buy a camera, I'll make myself become a filmmaker. If it works for you, great. But most people I know, they buy a camera, they never really push themselves the true length. And the true length is jumping off the boat into the middle of the Caribbean Ocean and getting the shot you need to get. That did not happen, but I'm just saying if that's what it took to get the shot, that's what you do. And I'm afraid of sharks. So you have to be willing to commit, and buying a camera does not show commitment. It shows that you have spending ability, or maybe you don't. Because worst case is you credit card the camera, and then all of a sudden you have all these other expenses that line up. It's just not worth it. It's not. It's just simply not. And even something like a GH5 GH5s, in all honesty, if you cannot make revenue from that camera, and your movie is not going to make revenue, that's step number one. If you cannot make revenue to pay for this camera, or you're not in a position where you can just assume this as a hobby camera, then it is not worth owning a camera. You should just rent, use your cell phone. In fact, me and Jeff were laughing. The footage, no, this is okay. The Samsung's not great. The footage that we were seeing off of an iPhone 8 Plus was stupid. It's stupid. Spend $20 on an app. Your stuff's not going to look like the other ones that are professionally shot on an iPhone because they use lens adapters and they're cheating, but just do that and just get a Zoom... get like a Zoom H6n and just use one of those recorders on the side. Audio guys will hate you, but you're going to spend money to fix the audio anyway because you cheaped out and bought a camera instead and worry about good audio. All right, there we go. Yeah, I almost said stole. matte, but, you know, we don't want to do that. Ivan. Welcome back, Ivan. I haven't seen you in a while, maybe. It seems like I haven't seen you in a while. Is that true, Ivan? Ivan Juarez? Anyway, should I buy a Sigma 18-35 with short focus throw and not knowing which other lens to complement besides Photo Art series of Rokinon primes? I like the Sigma 18-35 Art. I'm a fan of it. I like that lens. It does well for me. This is on the 18-35. If you like the way this looks, then, and this is with a LUT on it, obviously. But, you know, if you like the way it looks, then I would go that route. I was checking the battery. Sorry. We'd like to shoot some ads for a music school in Monterrey, Mexico. How can we get you here? Oh. Hello. We would love to come to Monterey. Craft show. Should we show our demo reel? I tell you what. Shoot me an email that is drew@craftshow.com. CRFTSHO. I don't know how to pronounce your name. No offense. But if you would like to, if you want to have that conversation or we can help you in any way, just shoot us an email. I'll actually post it for you and I'll tag you in it at CE. There we go. Here's our email. drew@crftsho.com. Pow. There you go. There's our email for you, ma'am or sir. VFX Todd, MPEG, you can't shoot HDR and Vlog unless you shoot 10-bit. Jeff. Serving House Productions, he knows. He's wondering if he spliced and gave Jeff. Oh, yeah. Earlier firmware, blah, blah, blah. But it can be done. You have to make an name, blah, blah. Trev, at Craft Show, your personal opinion. The one feature of the GH5s that surprises you, impresses you the most. You know, it's not the low light. Even though that impresses the heck out of me, it's actually the color. I feel like the color on the GH5s is tremendously more beautiful than the GH5. I feel like the color balance is better. I don't know. And the noise, I feel like the noise is less on the GH5s. It could just be how I've shot it, but I like the GH5s. I really do. And if I did it again and had to buy all new cameras again, I'd probably get an S. I feel like it's a really powerful camera. I feel like it's a really powerful underutilized camera. I feel like it has magic, and I don't know. I'm a big fan of that camera. I really am. And the more I've spent time with it, the only way I really like it is with a speed booster on it. I just have to have some metabones or focal reducer, as we actually say, would do that right. That would be my opinion. There you go. I'm sorry. Oh, hello, Drew's face. Yeah, there we go. The color, yeah, the color, I'm glad you know, MPEG, because it's night and day. Like, it's like insanely different in a way that I find a little more pleasing. I really do. I find it more pleasing. Even matching lenses, I find it more pleasing on doing it. Todd says, well, I wouldn't recommend shooting HDR anything less than 10-bit, 16 million colors to 1 billion. I like the color GH5s. Yeah, I'm with you, Todd. I think you shoot HDR in any way you can. It's not going to really matter. Most people aren't going to really notice the subtle differences like we do when they pixel peep it. They're just going to be wowed by the HDR factor. That's what I honestly believe. It's just a personal thing, but I think it'll turn out fine. I think you can get away with it. If you're shooting a feature in it, I might not shoot a ton of slow-mo stuff or a lot of 60 fps stuff, but you could in that case. If you had to get rid of one, would you keep the S then? Yeah, I probably would. Well, we already got rid of one. We had that one blow up on us, our one GH5, and luckily we have this GH5s. But I don't miss the other GH5 as much as I would miss the GH5s. That's the honest to God's truth. I really, really love this camera. I love it. I absolutely adore it. For what it does. Now, I have not done, since we've gotten it, we have not done a test on the difference between, or looking at GH5S's version of HLG, because I do have a small sneaking suspicion that maybe it does perform a little bit better than the GH5's version of HLG. We have not done those tests. We have not had a need to. We have not experimented with that. So I want to play with the HLG on the GH5S because we have not toyed with it at all and put it through its paces. Maybe we'll find something fun to shoot, but I have not toyed with it yet to see how it goes. In fact, I should have been smart enough to shoot some HLG while we were down there because that would have been pretty rad, just to have that sort of look. Shoot it just rawed out, see what happens. Yeah, that's it. Let's see what else. It's my visual effects background stepping in. Yeah, well, I understand, Todd. I'm with you, bro. It's the same thing as like Did you ever VFX Todd? Did you ever have to deal with anamorphic with VFX stuff? Because I hear that's a nightmare. I hear that's not a lot of fun when you have to deal with that because it's the lens warping that you have to deal with. Oh, how did it blow up? I missed that. Long story short, it just stopped working, and that's as far as we can go with that story. It does not work anymore. We have a completely bricked GH5. It's really tragic. Very sad. Ramsey Sanchez selling my GH5 for GH5s now. Yeah, look, there's going to be some things you miss if you make the jump. I will tell you that. You'll miss stabilization a little bit. If you're shooting like handheld and you're doing it pretty quickly, you will miss some of that. So just keep that in mind, Ramsey, that the GH5s, you know, it doesn't bother me because we just learned to shoot differently. You tripod your arms. You look like a baby T-Rex kind of doing this, and whatever you got to do to stabilize, you do it that way. And do it. Oh, really? So they flattened VFX Todd. I was asking about, if you guys are curious, I was asking VFX Todd about anamorphic, and he's telling me that they usually flattened it. So they would take it and just take it to like into scope or something and just go past for 2K. Were you guys doing 2K VFX Todd, I imagine? Probably 2K and 1080, not 4K yet. Paul Wright, did you have to always keep an ND on the front of the GH5s for outdoors? Oh, yeah. That's the thing. The GH5s does require a few more tools, and one of those being ND. You're going to need it. It's the only way to shoot this camera correctly is you need ND on the GH5, especially if you're shooting log, right? You're going to want it. It's going to make a big deal. Mostly 4K, 2K, wow. We kept them both on. Okay, that makes sense, VFX Todd. That's wild that they flattened the 4K, but I guess if they overshot it, maybe it was red stuff, because the Alexa... Well, is it 4K UHD? I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'm getting into technical questions that only satisfy my own personal interest because VFX Todd does VFX. Go figure. Todd, at some point, you should probably shoot me an email. I think we probably have before, but we should probably have a conversation. I might have some work, maybe. I don't know if you freelance or not, but it might be nice. Which brand of ND did you use? Cheap, crap ND, because I don't think it matters. I really don't. I've seen some green tinting, but there was none in this. We picked them up at the last minute because of the decision to not use the matte box the entire time. We did bring a full matte box to fly onto the GH5s, but once we started thinking about it, we changed our mind. So it was, I don't know, Best Buy special, something crap, just crap. Crap stuff is what people would say. Didn't matter. It looked great. That's just the way you do it. Sometimes cheapy filters are garbage. Like, we have an expensive one, and that's the one I broke. I sat on it. That's a true story. Put it in my back pocket, took it off, sat on it. The lens is fine. It just listen. So our expensive one, it still works. Oh, this needs to be cleaned like a son of a bitch. It still works, but it does have a broken piece of glass in it, or it's broken free rather. Yeah, the ProMaster, yeah, this, yeah, absolutely does show the X. The ProMaster does show the X, but I don't normally close it down that far. If I do, I just figure it out. No, not this one. This is the, unless we got ripped off, this was the ProMaster Variable NDHGX. Like, I guess it's their top of the line version. Still has the X, but it was at a local camera shop, $130. Tiny bit of warp, tiny bit. I just didn't do, I'm shooting logs, so I didn't notice any color cast. I really didn't. Not that we've noticed. Not that I've particularly seen. All right, I'm going to wrap it up because I have clients that need attention, and I need to do that. So, thanks for watching. If you have any thoughts, don't forget you can always like, subscribe, share. This is a live stream, so who gives a shittle? To keep it in time, I haven't said it once this episode. I'm a little disappointed that our good buddy, Sailing Rewind, who changed his name, is not here. Because sailing is sailing. He's probably on a boat right now, and maybe this would have helped him. We're going to post some videos later on that have some more footage on it, plus that fun little joke tutorial, and I might be offline. Am I offline? I don't think I'm offline. Did my battery die? No, I'm still here. Weird. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. So thank you guys for watching. I'll keep the chat ski open. Jeff's in the chats if you have any questions. I'll be in the chats if you have any questions. Thanks for tuning in. We will catch up shortly. We will post another video hopefully this week that'll have some fun bits in it of more of our insane adventures in feature film land, and that'll do it. See you guys on the other side.
N-O.
Did it cut? No? Oh.